All right, guys, before the watch list video for Monday here, let me go into a couple comments. Just a quick reminder on Tuesday, so we're 2 days away from our webinar, our free webinar about trading inflection points. It's basically, if you've ever taken a trade and been red almost immediately, I've done that several thousand times in my life, but I still contend that is the best money I ever lost because it led to the trading strategy that I have now. And really, the foundation of that strategy is waiting for the proper entry so I can be green right away and then just manage the trade. It's made all the difference in the world for me. So we're going to talk about that in the webinar on Tuesday. So if you've ever been frustrated from taking a trade and being immediately red and calling yourself names and all that, that's what we're going to be addressing is the proper time to take an entry so that you won't have to deal with that so often. All right, so show up Tuesday. You got to register. You can find it on my StockTwits or Twitter page. It's at Great Stock Picks on Twitter, GreatStockPix. And there'll be a registration link there. And we bought more seats, so last time a bunch of people got turned away, and so we made sure that won't happen again. So if you register, you're going to get a seat. All right. Enough babbling about that. Let's go into the watch list for Monday. I always start by showing the SPY, which is in a pretty normal pattern. It's had a big breakout, and now we're kind of in I was going to say a lower volume pullback, but it's actually some pretty good volume on Friday. But I think that had to do with options too, so keep that in mind. Anyway, we pulled back to the below the 8-day here, probably at a good place for some support. I generally don't get too tied up in the SPY unless we've had some kind of major move, like we did back here. That's when you want to start being more cautious about the overall market. But when we're just grinding higher and now we're in a 3 or 4 day pullback, I'm just going to trade as usual unless I see something to the contrary. All right. So my watch list, SKLN, I've got to zoom in so you can see the formation here. All right, SKLN's had, and this is one of the elements I look for, is has it had any kind of recent big moves? Because those are the ones I want to be watching, right? So you had a huge one here and then a gap up and another follow through before turning red this day. Couple big day pop there, a 2-day pop there, big pop here, nice secondary one, and then it went into a base, and then you had this monster move 3 sessions ago, and then a couple kind of quiet inside days. So this one's sort of poised up over the 357. This high right here was 359. You get up into the 360s, this one might just take off towards 4, so let's keep that one on watch. BCLI, another big mover, right? Had a big move back here, a big move here. Looked like it was rolling over, and then look at this, right back up. So this one is poised for maybe a big move. I want to watch that one too. BCEI is a lower priced oil and gas play that gapped up and really, really kind of flagging nicely here. So I want to watch that whole space. BCEI is a nice chart. PACD also in that space, had the gap up and like 4 days lower, and then a kind of a quiet green day on Friday. I want to watch for a possible break of Friday's high, which would be through $5. This one, especially if the lower priced oil and gas plays go, like BCEI is breaking out, I'll look to PACD through 5 for a kind of a secondary play on that whole space if that happens. Dry ships, well, I've got to watch all the shippers. I have to zoom way in to show you, but dry ships had this move. This doesn't look like much, but it went from 377 to 544. There was a huge move, then gapped up on Friday. And as I said in the pre-market on Friday to our chat room, I don't really love when everybody and their mother sees the big move on Thursday, and then on Friday it's gapping up. You're setting yourself up to get caught if you chase it. I did take a small trade in it on the long side and made very few dollars, but because of the way I trade, I did not lose on it, but it did reverse pretty quickly. And now it's a little more interesting to me because you had the big move, then the gap up, and then the sell-off, but it's probably right at about, I can't tell for sure, but probably right about the 50% retracement from the low to the high of the move. So these shippers might just surprise everybody and turn right back up on Monday. Again, they'll have to meet my parameters, so if they don't, I won't trade them. OPTT. This is kind of an obscure play, but it did have a nice move back here, and really it's been chopping sideways ever since. Had a little bit of extra volume you can see on Thursday, and it does have nice support right above 3. I mean, look how this has held 3 for probably well over a month, or probably right around a month. And Friday was an inside day after the volume. So this is one of those setups that if I wasn't trading last week, I would have never seen this little pop in OPTT, and it wouldn't have even caught my attention doing scans today. But because I saw it, I'm going to go ahead and watch it. I mean, if it can break Friday's high, which is 329, you look to the left, Thursday's high was 335. So over 330, this one might just take out Thursday's high and maybe get going. All right. It's very obscure. Not my favorite, obviously. OPGN is another one that made this crazy move, and that wasn't an errant tick. If I go to 15-minute candles, you'll actually see that move. There's that move, and it was a huge move. It came, let's see, I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Let's try 60-minute candles instead. This was a huge move that gave it all back that same day, right? And then on, I believe, Friday morning, then it took off and then kind of flagged the rest of the day. You can see, let me pan out and show you all of Friday here. So Friday morning, it traded in a narrow range, and who knows if it was a rumor or something or somebody pumping it, but it had a nice move and really kind of flagged ever since. So going back, 30-minute candles isn't a bad view. So you had this huge pop, kind of had a secondary pop. If it can get up, I don't know, in the high 120s, in other words, kind of break this flag cleanly, this might get a nice follow-through move. So when you look at the daily chart overall, it's a little weird to me, especially with this complete reversal of this big move, but it is holding support at $1, and so maybe this follows through that kind of morning pop from Friday on Monday. We'll see. ESEA, another shipper. This one never broke Thursday's high on Friday like dry ships did. So anyway, the shippers get going. This is a pretty clean chart. You had a huge move, a lower volume. This is a lower volume inside day on Friday. This is kind of a better looking chart than dry ships. But if the shippers get going, I like this one for a possible third day play. Right, big pop, partial pullback, and then sometimes the very next day. And it'll just matter of what the shippers do. So if the shippers get going, ESEA is a good candidate. And then lastly, I have APTO, which had a huge volume spike on Friday and went from $1.06 to $1.50. No, that's not right. To $1.79 at one point. So a huge move before settling in at $1.53. Maybe a red to green, something like that on Monday. And also on Monday morning, we're going to be watching the pre-market and hopefully put together a list of gappers and maybe catch a nice gap and go play as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and we'll see you on Monday.